Well, I'm very pleased to welcome an old friend here on the program, Mr. Ron Tucker. He is the CEO of Epic Corporation, stock symbols EPOR, and Ron was a guest on this program about 11 years ago. It's great to see you again.
Thank you very much.
And I'm really excited about this company. You describe yourself as a company whose mission it is to provide people with better health care through technology. Tell us about that.
Well, we kind of started to concentrate on the healthcare field, well, actually a couple of years ago, and trying to find our way in it, actually. And because of our background bringing in the electronics part and technologies, what we wanted to do was to look for new types of technology into the healthcare field. And so one of the things we started to look for was electronic or healthcare devices. And but one day somebody brought me a pad like what's before you here, and actually it was that was actually made in Japan, and we liked it, but and we bought some samples and gave them to people, and they liked it, and but it was so expensive to try to import that we took us a year and a half to find somebody that could actually produce the same thing, because it's a very complicated, very complex, but a simple fabric that's knitted.
Now, this is called the Somnus Sleep Pad.
That's the name we've given to it.
And when I think about the National Sleep Foundation, they did a survey. In 2008, they found as many as 62% of Americans are not getting a good night's sleep. I mean, that is really a remarkable statistic.
Yeah. Well, you know, there's various reasons, and for each person they have different reasons why, but the video is actually of my mother.
Really?
She was 93 years old.
Wow.
And the year before that video was taken, she had had a broken pelvis. The year before that, or 2 years before she slept on the sleep pad, she had had a broken hip. And about 4 years before, she had had two compression fractures of the, well, first and third vertebrae. And so when she would sleep at night, she didn't sleep very well, because every time she'd move, she'd be in pain. And I just gave her what we'll call a sleep pad, and I said, here, sleep on this, and then that's all I said. And the next morning, boy, she came out and she was bouncing and she was over her best, and she says, I don't know what it is about that pad. She said, but that's the first time in 10 years that I've had a good night's sleep, that I slept through the night. And she said, not on top of that, I was actually able to roll over onto my broken hip, which she had never been able to do before.
Yeah, it's remarkable, because you think about someone like your mother, you mentioned at 93 years old, obviously she's not carrying a full work day, but the lack of sleep that Americans are facing, that affects their work habits, highway safety. I would have to think that this has come along at the right time.
Yeah, we put out a lot of samples. We just started selling it actually in January for sale, but we put out quite a few samples, and I'd say 90% of the people found some benefit from it. I mean, depending on the person, for some, well, for two people I know of particularly, they have suffered from chronic lower back pain. One fellow that was suffering from it, he actually has a broken spine. And he's had it for 6 years, and he said, I've tried everything to try to get rid of my lower back pain. And he said, I put the sleep pad, I gave him one for a sample, and he put it in an easy chair, though, instead of putting it in the bed. And he's in his easy chair, where she set in quite a bit. And within 2 days, he said his back pain, his lower back pain had gone.
Well, I'm going to put this to the test, because I mean, I'm 6'6". I have tall man's disease, which means you always have lower back pain, and I'm going to give that a try and report back to you. Now, you mentioned selling it. Let's talk about marketing and distribution. For those people on their third cup of coffee, kind of bleary-eyed, because they didn't sleep last night, saying, how do I get one of these? Well, how do they get one of these?
Well, they can buy it on. We have it on the what we call the internet. Excuse me, the Epic iStore.
Epic
on the
iStore.
internet store.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so
that's epicISTOR.com.
Okay, so epicistore.com, and all the details about how they can buy it right online.
They use PayPal.
Okay.
So I mean, it's very simple and very easy.
Well, the company's called Epic Corporation. EPOR is their stock symbol now. The company announced a rather unique stock dividend program. I was really fascinated to read that. You want to kind of walk us through that?
Well, over a period of years that our stock has been basically bought up and is very thinly traded because there isn't too much stock available. And it was high price. So to try to create some more liquidity into it and to get it active, more active than it has been, I declared what is essentially 100% stock dividend. In other words, a 1-for-1. For every one share that you own, you'll get another share. And that would be the shareholders of record for April 27th.
Okay, so anyone who's holding shares in the company as of April 27th
will now own twice as many.
A dividend of an additional share for each individual share.
Then on top of that, we recently also declared what they call the product in kind dividend, and for all those shareholders, they're going to get a dividend of the pad.
Well, there you go. How about that? So not only will you get one-for-one stock dividend, but if you have a certain number of shares, you'll also get a somnous sleep pad.
Yeah, this is basically right now a twin bed size, but we will have, as the end of this month, a double queen size and also king size. That's
amazing. That's a stock dividend, and you're going to help them sleep better with their investment. I like the sound.
I hope so. Well, since we're just starting out selling to the consumer in January, also we're we're sending out samples to convalescent hospitals because it also helps prevent bed sores. And so since the first of the year, I think we've had just started advertising one ad in a magazine plus which is the convalescent facilities, their association. And that was in January. And we got about 20 responses to that ad and sent samples. And then we also have done some emails through the same association and sponsoring what they call their Capital Connection. And we get responses from that. And on top of that, we've also sent some direct mailers to basically the locations in Southern California. And we had a good response for it. We've got probably 50 or so samples to them that they're evaluating for us.
Ron, we're just about out of time, but why is this a good time right now for folks to take a closer look at Epic Corporation?
Well, I think it's at the price that it is now at about between 10 to 15 cents a share. I mean, it's very undervalued, and I think it would be a good investment. I don't want to overdo it because I'm prejudiced, of course.
Epic Corporation, EPOR. Ron, we're initiating coverage of the company this week and be watching you very closely through all of second quarter. Looking forward to more updates as we go along. Thanks so much for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me.